then let's take a look at what it was um, from one side, the bank side. Let's cover that first, right? So when you look at the bank, when it comes to growth, you can generally organizations grow either by doing organic product launches, by aggressive marketing campaigns, and such other things, or they grow by mergers and acquisitions, right? A lot of times. Now, this bank in discussion here, they had a history of growing through mergers and acquisitions. And at that point, they had, when I was involved with them, they had gone through a major M&A. And what that brought along with it was a lot of redundancy in the system, right? Um, and I think that's very typical for any merger, for that matter, where when you have two similar sets of applications satisfying a similar intent, right? So that was the case here as well. There was a lot of redundant applications, which led to a lot of overhead cost, and it became very obvious very soon for the leaders that something had to be done to reduce that operational expenses, OPEX, right? Um, so what and that led to basically a major initiative, a major strategic initiative rather, to evaluate and eliminate the redundant platforms, so the bank could effectively manage their combined product portfolio, and they could serve their customers more efficiently, right? From a timeline perspective, this was, I believe, around the time when there were not too many choices out there when it came to the scale frameworks, right? So this bank uh, basically chose SAFE, and that was primarily because the size and scale of this program, this initiative, was too big to be supported by those fundamental frameworks like Scrum or Kanban, right? So they went with SAFE as their framework of choice. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a framework advocate, by the way. I am I'm generally a framework agnostic guy, so I don't associate myself with Safe or Less or any of the other frameworks. I believe in my whole philosophy is around agility, and the frameworks are there to support and help the organizations advance in their path to agility. Right? How do you achieve your business agility? Well, that's what these frameworks are there for. So by any means, I'm not advocating for one framework over the other here in this discussion. But SAFe was, at that point at least, when I'm talking about from a timeline perspective, it was one of the most prominent frameworks in the market for scaling, right? Um, so the leaders made a choice, and they were leaning towards SAFe. Um, After a bit of prep work, once the framework was chosen, we settled on like, all right, that's the route we're going to go. We actually did a lot of prep work to launch the program, and we pretty much followed the implementation roadmap as SAFe prescribes it, right? So at that point, after it was all said and done, all the prep work was done. What came out of it was there were a lot of exceptions or deviations, let's say, from the framework, right? There were the train, for example, like SAFe prescribes, I believe that number, the magic number for them is like 50 to 125 people on a train. And if you're stretching it, it's 150 people on the train, right? And I believe that comes from the Dunbar's number, right? Dunbar's theory, or how many people you can socially effectively associate with. So that number is usually around 50 to 125. That's where SAFe got a number from. And usually a healthy train would have like about 10 to 12 teams on there, give or take, right? In this case, in this program that we were launching, we had about 300 plus people on the train. We had about 30 plus teams on the train. And to make it even worse, the train was compartmentalized, and it was compartmentalized by the architectural layers. What I mean by that is that there were teams that were just focused on the front end work. There were teams that were just focused on the middleware part of the applications, and there were teams who were building just the backend, right? So the entire train was was compartmentalized in that way, and that was nothing but a good reflection of how the organization was at that point, right?